The most effective cage is the one you never try to escape, because you don't know you're inside it. From the moment you were born, you weren't taught how power works. You were taught how to behave. Be fair, be polite, be reasonable, wait your turn, trust the system, and most importantly, never question the rules, because the people who write the rules never follow them. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most manipulation doesn't come from evil people. It comes from systems that reward obedience and punish awareness. You weren't trained to win. You were trained to function, to cooperate, to comply, to explain yourself. And while you were learning how to be good, others were learning how to control. Control doesn't begin with force. It begins with framing. Framing is the art of deciding what options feel acceptable before a decision is ever made. You think you're choosing freely, but all the dangerous choices were removed long ago. This is why real power doesn't argue. It doesn't shout. It doesn't threaten. It designs the environment so resistance feels irrational. Look at history, not wars, not battles. Look at empires. The Roman Church didn't dominate Europe through armies alone. It dominated through guilt. People were taught that obedience was moral, questioning was sinful, and suffering was noble. Control wasn't enforced with chains. It was enforced with conscience. When people police themselves, power becomes invisible. And invisible power is unstoppable. Here's something they never tell you. Manipulators don't hunt bad people. They hunt moral people. Because moral people hesitate, they explain, they justify, they give second chances. A predator doesn't fear aggression. It fears clarity. This is why people who value fairness are often exploited by those who understand psychology. You assume others think like you. They don't. You think intentions matter. They think outcomes matter. You feel guilt for taking advantage. They feel pride for being effective. And that difference is where power lives. History proves this again and again. Take Niccolo Machiavelli's Florence. The leaders who openly preached virtue were overthrown. The ones who appeared virtuous while acting strategically survived. Machiavelli didn't invent manipulation. He simply removed the lies around it. He understood one brutal truth. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. Meaning, people believe what they see, not what is real. So, if you control appearances, you control belief. And if you control belief, you control behavior. You were told, follow the rules and you'll be rewarded. But look closer. Rules exist to create predictability. Predictable people are easy to manage, easy to tax, easy to replace. The elite don't break rules impulsively. They step outside them strategically. They understand something you weren't taught. Rules are for stability, not for dominance. Take the rise of modern corporations. Publicly, they preach ethics, equality, and responsibility. Privately, they exploit loopholes, offshore accountability, and restructure reality itself through legal language. Nothing illegal. Nothing aggressive. Just framed advantage. And the public defends them because the framing feels reasonable. That's manipulation at its highest level. If fear is crude control, guilt is elegant control. Fear makes people rebel eventually. Guilt makes them comply willingly. You feel guilty for saying no, for prioritizing yourself, for setting boundaries. And that guilt doesn't come from logic. It comes from conditioning. You were trained to associate self-sacrifice with virtue and self-interest with shame. But here's the paradox. The people who benefit from your guilt never feel it themselves. They taught you that burden, so they wouldn't have to carry it. Throughout history, this tactic never changed. Only the language did. Kings used divine right. Religions used sin. Institutions use professionalism. Relationships use love. Different masks, same mechanism, make resistance feel immoral. At some point, everyone feels it. That quiet realization, I keep doing the right thing, but I keep losing. That's not coincidence. That's design. The world isn't unfair by accident. It's optimized. Once you understand this, something shifts. You stop asking, why do they treat me like this? And start asking, what role am I playing in their advantage? That question alone separates the aware from the controlled. This is the moment where innocence ends, not because you become cruel, but because you become accurate. You stop assuming good faith. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop mistaking morality for safety. You realize that understanding manipulation doesn't make you evil. It makes you untouchable. And now, you're ready. Because once you see the illusion, the real danger isn't manipulation anymore. It's entering the game without knowing the rules. The 3 manipulation models they never wanted you to notice. Because once you do, they stop working. Welcome to the other side. Once you understand how manipulation works, you'll notice something unsettling. The most powerful people rarely lie. They don't threaten. They don't beg. They don't even persuade directly. They engineer perception. Because if someone believes they chose freely, they will defend the decision even as it destroys them. That's the goal, not obedience. Self-enforced obedience. These are not tricks. These are models, repeatable psychological architectures used by kings, strategists, cult leaders, corporations, and emotionally dominant individuals. Once you see them, you'll realize how often they've already been used on you. Model 1 is emotional mirroring its means, the false reflection trap. Here's a dangerous truth. People don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with themselves, reflected back. Emotional mirroring is the art of becoming what someone is already searching for. Not by coincidence, by design. The manipulator listens carefully, not to understand, but to collect data. Your fears, your values, your pain, your unmet desires. Then they mirror it back with precision. Same language, same moral stance, same emotional rhythm. It feels like fate, like chemistry, like finally, someone gets me. That's the trap. Your brain rewards familiarity with trust. Neurologically, similarity feels safe. So when someone reflects your inner world, your defenses drop automatically. This is why emotional mirroring bypasses logic. You don't analyze it. You feel it. History is filled with this tactic. Grigory Rasputin didn't control Russian nobility through power. He mirrored their spiritual guilt, fears, and desperation. He became whatever each person needed him to be. A healer, a prophet, a savior. And because they saw themselves in him, they trusted him with the empire's fate. That's the danger of reflection. You stop seeing the mirror and start seeing truth. The most dangerous part? The mirror disappears once attachment forms. When you're emotionally invested, the manipulator no longer needs to reflect. They can withdraw, and that leads to the second model. Model 2 is controlled. Withdrawal, consistency creates comfort, but inconsistency creates obsession. Controlled withdrawal is the deliberate removal of attention, validation, or presence after value has been established. First, they give. Then, they disappear. And your mind does the rest. Your brain hates unfinished patterns. When something meaningful vanishes without explanation, the mind fills the gap with self-blame. What did I do wrong? How do I get it back? Was it my fault? That's not weakness. That's biology. This tactic has been used for centuries. Royal courts mastered it. Kings rewarded loyalty unpredictably, not consistently, because predictable rewards create independence. Unpredictable rewards create submission. People worked harder for approval. They weren't guaranteed. Modern psychology confirms this. Variable reinforcement is the most addictive conditioning pattern known. It's how gambling works. It's how toxic relationships work. It's how power hierarchies are maintained. The manipulator becomes scarce, silent, distant, unavailable. Not fully gone, just enough to create anxiety. And anxiety binds people tighter than affection. This is why silence feels powerful. Not loud silence, strategic silence. Silence that forces the other person to chase clarity. At that moment, control has already shifted. But the final model is the most destructive of all, because it doesn't attack emotions, it attacks identity. Model 3. The moral inversion. Its means making you doubt yourself. This is the most refined form of manipulation, because once it's active, you stop trusting your own judgment. Moral inversion flips responsibility while maintaining innocence. The manipulator does harm, then reframes your reaction as the problem. You express a boundary. They respond with disappointment. You question their behavior. They accuse you of being selfish, cold, or ungrateful. Slowly, the narrative shifts. You're no longer reacting to harm. You're overreacting. This tactic has shaped entire civilizations. Authoritarian regimes don't say, "We control you." They say, "We protect you." Dissent becomes betrayal. Obedience becomes morality. In personal dynamics, the effect is devastating. You feel guilty for asserting yourself, ashamed for noticing patterns, confused for wanting respect. And once self-doubt enters, manipulation no longer needs effort. You correct yourself. The most dangerous sentence a manipulator can make you believe is, "Maybe I'm the problem." At that point, the control is complete. Now step back. Notice the sequence. First, mirroring creates trust. Then, withdrawal creates dependency. Finally, moral inversion locks compliance. Different faces, same architecture. This isn't accidental. It's efficient. And here's the harsh truth. Once you recognize these models, you'll see them everywhere. In relationships, in workplaces, in leaders, in yourself. But awareness alone isn't enough. Because knowing tactics doesn't make you immune. It makes you alert. Immunity requires something deeper, a shift in identity. Now you won't learn how to manipulate. You'll learn how to become psychologically untouchable. So no mirror hooks you. No silence destabilizes you. No guilt controls you. Because the ultimate power isn't domination. It's being impossible to control. The highest level of power isn't control over others. It's immunity to control. Once you understand manipulation, there's a temptation to fight it, to expose it, to outplay it. That's a mistake, because the most dangerous manipulators aren't aggressive. They're calm, and calm comes from detachment. This is not about tactics. It's about who you become. So manipulation no longer works on you. Because predators don't attack strength. They attack leverage. Detachment is not indifference. It's clarity. It's the ability to feel without reacting. Most people are ruled by emotional spikes, validation, fear, rejection, praise. That volatility makes them readable. Readable people are controllable. The ruthless mind observes first. When praise appears, it pauses. When silence appears, it waits. When guilt appears, it questions. Not, what do they feel? But what does this create in me? That single shift breaks emotional hooks instantly. History favored those who mastered this. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while practicing internal detachment. He did not suppress emotion. He refused to obey it. That's the difference. Emotion informs. Control decides. You were taught that selfishness is immoral. But here's the truth. Self-neglect is not virtue. It's vulnerability. Every system exploits those who won't prioritize themselves. Strategic self-interest means you give, but never at cost of leverage. You help, but never at cost of respect. You care, but never at cost of control. This is not cruelty. It's self-preservation. Powerful people don't apologize for protecting themselves. They know something most don't. No one respects sacrifice they didn't ask for. Weak people react immediately. Strong people wait. Ruthless people choose timing. Manipulation feeds on urgency, pressure, deadlines, emotional escalation. Restraint starves it. Silence is not absence. It's pressure reversed. When you don't rush to respond, you regain the frame. When you don't explain yourself, you maintain authority. When you don't seek validation, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability creates respect. True power speaks before you do. Reputation is psychological armor. People treat you based on what they believe you tolerate. The ruthless mindset is visible. Calm posture, measured speech, firm boundaries, no emotional leaks. This doesn't intimidate, it signals. Predators sense it instantly, and they move on. This is the final shift. You don't become aggressive. You become unavailable. Unavailable to guilt. Unavailable to emotional hooks. Unavailable to manipulation. At this stage, something changes. People stop testing you. Stop pushing boundaries. Stop trying to control outcomes through you. Not because you fight back, but because there's nothing to grab. And that's the ultimate power. Not domination, not fear, but absence of leverage. You now understand the game, the illusions, the models, the mindset. What you do with it defines who you become, because knowledge is neutral, but awareness is irreversible. Welcome to the Prince's Doctrine.